everyone, this is Remlais from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, nominated on Patreon by Libra11, we will be taking a brief look at the goddess Talvar. This video will be a brief overview for certain events that may be explored in greater depth within additional videos in the future. So without further ado, let's begin.
They have created a false god. The mind science races have created a god in the image of the Talvar.
Talvar, also known as the Goddess, is a deity that serves as the living embodiment of the Tau Empire's philosophical concept of the greater good, a concept from which she also takes her name. Unlike many other denizens of the Warp, Talvar herself is believed to be a truly benevolent entity, one who also appears to be extremely protective of her followers. While viewed by many as being, for want of a better term, the god of the Tau, it was not the Tau themselves who brought her into existence, at least not directly. Instead, it was the more psychically sensitive auxiliary races within the Tau Empire, such as the Nikasar, Sharpactin, and even humans, who were responsible for the goddess's creation, due to many of these races treating the tenets of the greater good in a manner more akin to a true religion, as opposed to a political ideology. This collective belief would generate a reflection within the depths of warp space, a parallel dimension comprised entirely of psychic energy, gradually coalescing together and eventually attaining true consciousness and self-awareness, resulting in the birth of Talvar. One of the earliest documented appearances of Talvar came shortly after the Tau Empire's disastrous launch of the Fourth Sphere of Expansion. When the Fourth Sphere Expansion fleet, at the behest of the Ethereal Caste, activated their newly developed slipstream technology en masse, the resulting sudden and massive spike in antimatter generation tore a hole within the very fabric of reality, dragging the fleet into the bowels of the warp. The fleet would then find itself swarmed by vast hordes of demons, which sought to devour the very souls of the Tau and their alien allies. Whilst they would suffer heavy losses from the demonic assault, the Tau would ultimately be saved by none other than Talvar herself, who used her powers to drag the surviving elements of the fleet back into real space, an act which is believed by some to have also resulted in the creation of a subspace wormhole known as the Startide Nexus, connecting the Tau Empire within the galactic southeast to the Nemiar Atoll in the galactic north. However, in spite of this act of compassion performed by Talvar, the Tau of the Fourth Sphere reacted to the existence of a god formed in their image with both horror and anger, while the auxiliary races began to openly worship the nascent goddess. This ultimately resulted in the Tau of the Fourth Sphere turning upon their auxiliaries, blaming them for not only the fleet's misfortune and subsequent attack from demonic entities, but also for having the audacity to corrupt the very teachings of the greater good and giving rise to what the Tau themselves deemed to be a false god. The Tau of the Fourth Sphere would then conduct a campaign of genocide against their alien allies, under the impression that, by killing them, Talvar would also perish, though this wanton slaughter would ultimately end following the arrival of the Fifth Sphere of Expansion fleet led by Commander Shadowsun. Following the arrival of Shadowsun's forces, worship of Talvar, while not performed by the Tau themselves due to their atheistic nature, was at the very least tolerated, resulting in statues and temples dedicated to the goddess being erected upon those worlds annexed by the Tau throughout the Nemiar Atoll. Talvar would next make her presence known during the Battle of the Startide Nexus, where the forces of the Death Guard traitor Legion sought to enter the Nexus and launch an assault upon the very heart of the Tau Empire. While the Tau fought tooth and nail to keep the corrupted Astartes at bay, a trio of Death Guard vessels managed to break through the Tau defensive line and enter the Nexus. It was here when Talvar herself intervened, causing the Death Guard vessels to become becalmed within the warp and ensnaring their capital ship, the Nephilim, within her grasp, ensuring that the servants of the Plague God would never emerge through the other side. And yet, thanks to the time-distorting properties of warp space, Talvar's influence has been felt, albeit subtly, for decades if not centuries prior to the launch of the fourth sphere of expansion, as Shadowsun is known to have vague memories of the goddess whispering to her during her youth, while she, along with fellow warriors Oshova and Okais, trained under the guidance of Tutor Twiceblade, even if Shadowsun herself did not realise it at the time. In either case, Talvar will do everything within her power to ensure that her people continue to prosper and thrive. The only thing that she desires in return is simply to exist. And that concludes this edition of 40k Lore for Newcomers. If you liked this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those that are new to 40k, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.